Don't watch this. You already lost. Your brain hates being controlled. That trigger, psychological reactance, makes you do the opposite. That's reverse psychology. You didn't choose. You reacted. What if I told you? The fastest way to make someone do something is to tell them not to do it. Sounds ridiculous, right? But this simple trick has influenced the following: your childhood decisions, your relationships, your purchases, and even your identity. This is not manipulation. This is reverse psychology, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Hello, beautiful thinkers. Welcome back to our Thinking Lab, the only channel that blends science, great ancient wisdom, Stoicism, and biblical insights. Today, we'll explore the power of reverse psychology. Stay tuned in, because I included suggestions on how to defend yourself and how to use it ethically. Now let's dive in. Reverse psychology is a behavioral influence strategy based on a phenomenon called psychological reactance. Psychological reactance is the mind's automatic pushback when it feels its freedom is being limited. In simple terms, the moment someone senses control, they instinctively want to do the opposite, to reclaim autonomy. It occurs when an individual perceives their freedom of choice is being restricted, triggering a motivational state to restore that autonomy, often by doing the opposite of what is suggested. Psychological reactance equals the brain's rebellion reflex. Tell me I can't, and now I want to. Chapter 1. What happens in the brain? When someone tells you, don't do that, your brain processes it as a threat to autonomy. This activates the following. 1. Limbic system, emotional center, especially the amygdala, interprets restriction as a threat, triggers emotional resistance, irritation, defiance. 2. Prefrontal cortex, decision-making, specifically the prefrontal cortex, attempts to evaluate the situation logically, but gets overridden when emotional arousal is high. Result? You feel like you're making a rational choice when it's actually driven by emotional resistance. 3. Dopaminergic reward system involves pathways like the mesolimbic pathway. When you reclaim control, dopamine is released. This makes defiance feel rewarding. That's why doing the opposite can feel satisfying. The core mechanism, perceived restriction. Don't do this. Perceived restriction. Don't do this. Reactance triggered. Threat to freedom. Emotional arousal. Amygdala activation. Behavioral reversal. Do the opposite. Reward reinforcement. Dopamine release. Why humans are wired this way? From an evolutionary medicine perspective, such as autonomy equals survival, loss of control equals vulnerability. So the brain evolved to resist control quickly and automatically, even when there is no real danger. The decision is trivial. Your brain still reacts like it matters. Clinical context. Reverse psychology is closely related to cognitive dissonance. You act to resolve internal tension, autonomy, a core human psychological need. Behavioral therapy techniques where indirect suggestion is used to reduce resistance in patients. Important distinction. Reverse psychology is not a disorder. It is a predictable neurobehavioral response influenced by personality, age, and emotional state. Stronger in adolescence. Highly independent individuals, people under stress or control pressure. Reverse psychology is a reactance-driven behavioral response in which perceived restriction of autonomy activates limbic and dopaminergic pathways. leading an individual to restore control by choosing the opposite behavior. Reverse psychology works on a simple truth. Humans hate losing control. The moment someone feels their freedom is being restricted, psychologists call this psychological reactance. It's your brain saying, I'll do the opposite, just to prove I can. That's why tell a child, don't touch that, leads to they touch it. Tell someone, you probably can't do this, leads to they try harder. Tell people you can't have it, leads to they want it more. It's not logic. It's ego plus autonomy plus resistance. Chapter 2. The science, why it works. Inside your brain, there's a system wired for freedom preservation. When your autonomy is threatened, stress rises. The brain shifts into defense mode. You become irrationally motivated to reclaim control. This isn't weakness. It's survival programming. Thousands of years ago, losing autonomy meant losing resources, losing status, even losing life. So your brain evolved to fight back instantly. Now in modern life, that same instinct gets triggered by something as simple as, you shouldn't do that. Picture this. Someone leans in and says, don't do it. Your amygdala detects a threat, not danger, control, and your mind doesn't negotiate. It rebels. A surge hits your system, driven by psychological reactance. Your brain is now on one mission. Take your power back. So you do the exact thing you were told not to do. Not because it makes sense, but because it feels like freedom. And when you do, your brain rewards you for it. You didn't win. You were triggered. Let's make this real. 1. Relationships. Tell your partner, you probably wouldn't understand. Watch them lean in immediately. Why? Because now it feels like a challenge. 2. Marketing and sales. Ever seen limited time only? Only 3 left. Not for everyone. That's reverse psychology. They're not just selling a product. They're triggering your fear of missing control. 3. Parenting. Smart parents don't say, go clean your room. They say, you probably won't clean it anyway. Now the child wants to prove them wrong. 4. Social media addiction. Don't check your phone. What do? You check it. Immediately. Chapter 3. The power of reverse psychology. What the Stoics, ancient sages, and biblical writers already knew. Part 1. Stoicism. The more you forbid, the more you inflame. The Stoics didn't use the phrase reverse psychology, but they understood the mechanism 2,000 years before modern psychology named it. Stoic insight. Number 1. Desire intensifies when something is forbidden. Epictetus taught that humans suffer not from events, but from their interpretation of them. When you forbid something, the mind interprets it as, my freedom is under attack. This triggers reactance, the same mechanism reverse psychology exploits. Marcus Aurelius observed that the mind naturally rebels against pressure. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Tell someone, don't do this, and you've just painted their mind with the very thing you want them to avoid. Stoic insight number 2. People want to feel in control of their choices. Stoicism teaches that humans crave autonomy, the ability to choose their response. Reverse psychology works because it gives back the illusion of control. You probably won't want to do this. Suddenly the person feels free again, and chooses the very thing you wanted. Stoic insight number 3. The indirect path is often the most effective. Seneca wrote that direct force creates resistance, but gentle redirection creates willingness. Reverse psychology is simply the Stoic principle of non-force applied to human behavior. Marcus Aurelius didn't need TikTok to know this. The more you forbid something, the more the mind wants it. Part 2. Ancient wisdom. The mind chases what is withheld. Across cultures, ancient thinkers noticed a universal truth. Humans desire what is scarce, forbidden, or withheld. According to ancient Chinese philosophy, Taoism. The Tao Te Ching teaches, the more prohibitions there are, the poorer the people become. Meaning, restriction breeds rebellion. Reverse psychology is the Taoist principle of Wu Wei. Effortless influence. Instead of pushing, you invite. Instead of commanding, you suggest. Instead of forcing, you allow, and people move themselves. Taoism teaches that force creates resistance. Reverse psychology. It's just ancient Wu Wei with a modern twist. According to ancient Greek philosophy, the Greeks believed that humans are driven by thymos, the desire for dignity, agency, and self-expression. Reverse psychology works because it protects the other person's sense of dignity. You're not telling them what to do, you're letting them prove you wrong, which satisfies their ego and autonomy. According to ancient Middle Eastern wisdom, proverbs and ancient Jewish teachings often warn that forbidden things become more attractive. The human heart is drawn to what is withheld, not because of the thing itself, but because of the challenge. Ancient minds already knew the trick. 1. The Trojan horse, deception through invitation. The Greeks couldn't break into Troy by force, so they did something smarter. They built a gift, a wooden horse, a symbol of victory over war. And the Trojans, believing they were in control, invited it inside their own city. That night, soldiers hidden inside the horse opened the gates. What looks like a gift can be controlled entry through trust. This is ancient reverse psychology in war form. Make the enemy accept what destroys them. 2. King Solomon's wisdom, truth revealed through emotional pressure. In the court of King Solomon, 2 women claimed the same child. Solomon didn't force the truth out. He said, "Cut the child in 2." One woman immediately said, "No, give it to her." And in that emotional reaction, the truth revealed itself. Solomon didn't ask directly. He triggered emotion to expose intent. This is reverse psychology at its purest. Pressure reveals truth faster than questions. 3. Sun Tzu, winning without direct force. The strategist Sun Tzu wrote, "All warfare is based on deception." But his deeper principle was even sharper. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. Instead of forcing obedience, you shape perception. You guide the enemy to believe they are choosing freely. This is psychological redirection, not controlling actions directly, but controlling what feels like a choice. Part 3. Biblical scripture. The law awakens desire. This is the most fascinating part. The Bible describes the exact psychological mechanism that modern science calls reactance. Biblical insight number 1, prohibition increases temptation. Paul writes that when something is forbidden, desire for it increases. In essence, tell me I can't, and now I want to. This is reverse psychology in its rawest form. Biblical insight number 2, humans resist control. From Genesis onward, the pattern is clear. When humans feel restricted, they push back. Not because the thing is good, but because freedom feels threatened. Biblical insight number 3, influence works best through invitation, not force. Jesus often used indirect persuasion, questions, parables, reverse invitations. He rarely commanded behavior directly. He invited people to choose. This is the ethical version of reverse psychology, influence without manipulation. The Bible literally says that when something is forbidden, desire increases. Reactance existed long before psychology named it. The original and epic reverse psychology case study, Adam and Eve. The moment something is forbidden, the human mind becomes obsessed with it. If you want a timeless cross-cultural example of reverse psychology before psychology existed, you don't need a lab. You just need a garden. Part 1. The setup. A perfect world, with one rule. In the Genesis narrative, Adam and Eve live in a paradise with total freedom, except for one boundary. Don't eat from that tree. This is the earliest recorded moment of reactance, the psychological mechanism where humans resist restrictions on their freedom. The moment the rule is introduced, the tree becomes more interesting, more mysterious, more desirable, more symbolic, not because the fruit changed, but because the meaning of the fruit changed. This is reverse psychology's core principle. The forbidden becomes magnetic. Part 2. The serpent strategy, a masterclass in reverse psychology. The serpent doesn't force, threaten, or command. He uses suggestion, curiosity, and identity, the same levers. Modern psychology names today. Reverse psychology move. Number 1. Did God really say? This isn't a question. It's a psychological seed. It reframes the rule as restrictive, suspicious, possibly unnecessary. This taps directly into Stoic insight. Humans rebel when they feel their autonomy is being limited. Reverse psychology. Move number 2. You won't die. You'll become wiser. This flips the script from obedience to self-actualization. It reframes the forbidden action as empowering, identity expanding, a path to personal growth. This is the same mechanism marketers use today. Don't buy this unless you're ready to level up. Reverse psychology move number 3, the invitation to choose. The serpent never says, eat it. He simply creates the conditions where choosing the forbidden feels like reclaiming agency. This is the ethical and unethical power of reverse psychology. You don't force behavior, you frame it. Part 3. The human pattern, ancient story, modern brain. The Adam and Eve moment is not about fruit. It's about human nature. It reveals 3 psychological truths that modern science later confirmed. Truth number 1. Prohibition intensifies desire. The Stoics said it, the Taoist said it, Paul said it, and the garden story illustrates it. Truth number 2. Humans crave autonomy more than correctness. People would rather be wrong on their own terms than right under someone else's control. Truth number 3. Influence works best through suggestion, not force. The serpent doesn't command. He nudges, he questions, he invites. He lets the human mind do the rest. This is reverse psychology in its purest form. Chapter 4. The dark side when it controls you. Here's where it gets dangerous. Reverse psychology is subtle, which makes it powerful, because you think, this is my decision, but sometimes it's not. People use it to do the following. 1. Manipulate emotions. 2. Control outcomes. 3. Influence behavior without you noticing. In toxic relationships, it sounds like, do whatever you want. I don't care. But underneath, it's a trap designed to pull you back in. In business, it sounds like, This opportunity isn't for everyone. Translation: prove you're special. Picture this. You're making a decision, or at least you think you are. Someone says, do whatever you want, I don't care. But your brain hears something else. A silent trigger fires. Psychological reactance. Now you're not choosing, you're reacting. The more you try to prove your freedom, the deeper you fall into the trap. You go back, you click, you respond. Not because you want to, because something in you needs to win. Your amygdala thinks it's protecting you, but it's being played, and the scariest part? You call it your decision. Control doesn't always force you. Sometimes it lets you believe you're free. Chapter 5. How to defend yourself. If you don't understand this, you will be controlled by it. Here's how you stay in control. 1. Pause the reaction. The moment you feel resistance, stop. Ask yourself, do I actually want this? Or am I reacting? 2. Identify the trigger. Is someone restricting you, doubting you, challenging you? That's your signal. 3. Separate ego from logic. Your ego says, prove them wrong. Your logic says, is this worth it? 4. Take back control. Real power is not reacting, it's choosing. Chapter 6. How to use it ethically. Used correctly. Reverse psychology can be powerful without manipulation. Number 1. Motivation. Instead of, you should do this, say, you might not be ready for this. Now you ignite internal drive. Number 2. Leadership. People resist orders, but they respond to autonomy. Give them space to choose, and they'll move faster. 3. Self-discipline hack. Tell yourself, I don't have to work out today. Now your brain relaxes, and ironically, you're more likely to do it. Here's the truth most people never realize. You are not as independent as you think. Your decisions are constantly being shaped by the following: resistance, ego, the need for control, and sometimes the fastest way to control you is to give you the illusion of freedom. So the next time someone says, don't do it, ask yourself, who's really making this decision? We've reached our ending. If this episode enlightened you, please ignore the subscribe button, though it's free. And it's okay not to like and share. Reverse psychology isn't new. It's ancient. It's human. It's literally in the first story ever told about human behavior. Adam and Eve had one rule, just one. And the moment it became forbidden, it became irresistible. The serpent didn't force them. He didn't command them. He simply reframed the rule as a limitation, and the forbidden fruit as a path to freedom. That's reverse psychology, not manipulation, but the human mind defending its autonomy. Tell a human, don't, and you awaken the part of them that was born to choose. Reverse psychology doesn't force you. It makes you choose what someone else wanted all along. Thank you for stopping by at our thinking lab, where we just don't glow from the inside and out, but we grow beautifully. Until next time, stay grounded, stay healthy, stay powerful, stay beautiful,